It's time! Streaming live from Cleveland, Ohio! Presenting the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight podcast of the world, the Big Play Reflex Show!
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
I don't know. I know goddamn nothing.
Attacked by Chuck. To the 10. He's still running to the 5. Dips over the
It's time! The Big Play Reflex Show!
Welcome to the Big Play Reflog Show. I'm your host, Nick Padone, in studio, packed house. Gabriella Cruz, producer, Big Play Dave, Chris McNeil, and our very special guest this week, Mr. Rafa El Alcalde. Rafa, what's going on?
How are you, everybody? You know, you can see that the sign of the times moved. The first time I was on this show, I had just moved to Cleveland, and I think Chris had like a half green screen, and you could see the garage. And now we're in a studio right in front of the runway. I mean, I feel like a superstar here.
We
Chris
come a
still has
long
half a
way.
green screen.
We still left Chris in his garage. Chris, what's going on, man? AFC
Just hanging out in the
Championship
garage.
game, NFC Championship game. We are wrapped up, and we got 2 weeks till the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 2 pointless weeks, right? I mean, it's always the worst in
Yeah.
radio is these 2 weeks because they get on all those guys that have something to pimp and, you know, the old veterans, and they usually don't have interesting stories. You look forward to the interesting ones, and they never are. So now we'll just kind of make it through the next 2 weeks and probably a Super Bowl that, I don't know, we'll get into it, but I don't know that this is going to be that exciting of a Super Bowl either.
Yeah, we will definitely get into that. I think this week we're also going to talk some Pro Bowl. Yes, who doesn't love
Woohoo.
that? Whoa, Pro Bowl talk. But also, we're lucky. We're a three-city sports town, so we're going to talk a lot of Cavs. That's why we have Rafa in studio. After that, we're going to get into some Cleveland headlines brought to you by Shaq News, and we're going to wrap things up with Big Play Bets presented by Tipico Sportsbook, the exclusive sports betting partner of the Big Play Network. So let's get things going with Power Rank Monday.
It's time for Power Rank Monday.
Alrighty, this Power Rank Monday is brought to you by Labatt. The Pro Bowl is this week. The good news is that they got rid of the actual game itself, finally. This year, it's a new format. There's going to be 8 different events ranging from 7-on-7 flag football games to tug of war to dodgeball contests. And it's pretty much like field day, you know, is kind of what it feels like. So we are going to power rank the Pro Bowl events that we are most excited to see. So here I have the list of events in front of me, and boy, is it a good one. Dodgeball, water balloon toss, longest golf drive. I feel like Dave and Chris could be interested in that.
Mostly me. Go on.
QB accuracy. I would like to see QB accuracy with players that aren't quarterbacks. Like, I would like to see how accurate Wyatt Teller is. I think that would be funny. Best catch contest, relay race, tic-tac-toe with field goals, tug of war, and flag football. Anybody, I'm opening up the floor.
Typical Browns fan, already starting the quarterback controversy. Watch Wyatt Teller throw a couple of bullets and then like, oh, he should be the one. He should be the backup quarterback next year.
You got to give him a chance. Chris, before we get into these, what are we doing with the Pro Bowl, man? Like, it's a broken thing, and it continues to be broken.
What is this? This is basically Wii Sports, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they just took a bunch of those ideas and threw it together. You said it was field day, same thing. Did you guys have field day back at school?
Oh, yeah.
The
Oh, yeah,
water
we get
balloon
the
toss,
participant.
big deal.
Big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Who is going to screw it up?
You don't want to pick a wrong partner for that.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly right, right? And participant ribbons at the end of it, that was always the good time when you collect all those participant ribbons back in the day. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really digging this. It might be interesting for a little while. We'll see. Like we had talked about before the show, what you don't want to have is anybody get hurt. I mean, that would be amazing if they cancel this thing and then all of a sudden somebody gets hurt in like the water balloon toss or something, pulls a hammy. That'd be unbelievable.
Just play Madden.
Really?
I don't know. I feel like sports as a whole is expanding to such a Gen Z audience. I mean, look at the Cavs with the Cavs Legion have like their own whole esports team that competes professionally. Just let the guys play Madden. I mean, most of the guys like playing. I get that probably like Wyatt Teller, again, probably isn't the biggest Madden guy just from judging him off of looks, but I don't know. I just feel like
It's supposed to be.
Oh my God.
He wrestles alligators. You think he sits down in front of the PS5 at night and just
Touche.
Believe it or not, they probably all play, and I think I would be more interested in seeing a little more like Wild World of Sports.
Yeah.
Kind of like Jim McKay and running, maybe again going back to you don't want to see anybody get hurt, but maybe putting them in a batting cage, like the same way they're gonna do the longest drive. That's interesting to see how athletic these guys are and do something else. But again, it's the Pro Bowl. There's supposed to be a football. It's supposed to be an All-Star game, a football game. Obviously, it has gone downhill. I used to love it when I had to go to Hawaii to cover it for a week. I couldn't care less if the game was bad. I had a week in Hawaii.
I wish they did a little more like arcade games, like the Papa
That'd be
Shot
cool.
or
Have them play video
or
games.
darts.
You know how much they will get into that?
Yeah, even like some throwback, like just play Pac-Man. Who could survive? Who could
Those
survive the longest in Pac-Man?
Right.
Because I think some of these will be a hit. Like full disclosure, like I could see Tug of War being a hit because they're
Yes.
gonna get
For
the biggest
sure.
guys, and then controversially, they could get the kickers and have the kickers battle it out at Tug of War. But then
Okay, so
some of this stuff I think is just an absolute flop.
Yeah, but you know what? We're actually talking about it, and in years past, we're like,
True.
skip
Nobody
this
was.
segment, skip this segment.
Yeah.
The Pro Bowl sucks. So this is better, I guess.
Are you gonna check it out, or are you guys gonna check out the Pro Bowl this year to see the new format?
Definitely.
Tug of War?
100%.
Longest drive for sure. I want to watch it.
Yeah,
No, I'm all in on the water balloon toss.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
a big one.
Should have a slam dunk contest with this guy. I'm sure
Right.
Myles Garrett will win that.
Yeah, he'd have my vote, my bet. All right, let's move right on to the featured interview this week.
Whoa! Did we do what are we doing here?
You're doing power ranking.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, come on.
Getting ahead of
do
yourself.
we
We're
have
power
to?
ranking the Pro Bowl events we're most excited to see. So we know.
All right, we already know Tug of War is number
War.
one.
What, Chris?
Let me ask this. I mean, is there anything on the line? Like, is it like AFC versus NFC? Have they said anything?
I haven't seen
I think
anything.
we've done more marketing for it in these last, let me check here, 7 minutes than
Right.
the league has as a whole. So
Where is it taking place?
Let's ratchet this thing up. Like, let's go full Squid Game with this stuff. Let's
Oh
have
my
some
God.
real consequences. Have a player who has to sit like several games if they lose or something on a team. I mean, if you're going to make this count, let's make this thing count. This would be fun.
So it's
You
taking
can
place.
earn draft picks.
It's taking
How
place in
about that?
Vegas. At the Raiders
There you go.
practice
Have
facility.
a blackjack
Have a
tournament.
blackjack
Have
tournament.
a
That'd
poker
be fun.
tournament. I mean, you want to have it in Vegas?
I was thinking, some.
Oh man. So which event are we putting number one? Let's just get right to number one.
Tug of War.
Tug of War.
Tug of War. Okay.
And then I think we go.
Oh, the relay race would be so fun.
I think
too.
relay. Yeah, but depending on who's in it.
It could be hilarious. So in
Right.
track, we'd always make the throwers once a year do a 4x4.
Yeah,
and
that's
it is
fun.
the best thing you've ever seen.
They should do like the Revenge of the Nerds tournament with the guys.
Yes.
Yes.
Like riding on the tricycle,
Javelin.
like chugging a beer after every lap.
Oh, that's funny.
Make it entertaining. But I vote for the longest drive. I think I'm interested
All right.
to see what these guys have. They're all talented. I mean, they're.
Yeah. And I think we definitely know too, like the golfers of the group, right? Like we've learned which football players are really good. I mean, hell, TNT put together a whole thing a couple of years back during COVID with Brady and everything. So yeah, the longest drive could be fun because we know a lot of those guys could play. I'm with Gab. I'm looking forward to the water balloon toss.
It's
I
gonna
think
be
that'll
good.
be cool. I think
that'll be so boring. I think that'll be the
No.
worst, by far the worst event.
I tell
out
you
there.
what, I just witnessed a water balloon throwing with us when we were in Phoenix after we committed a lot of errors, a lot of mistakes, a lot of turnovers. After the practice in Phoenix, after the game, they took the guys out to the football field, and they made everybody pick a teammate, a player. And by the way, Isaac Okoro was so insulted that he was the last guy picked. And then it was just, them throwing the ball and trying to catch it and then moving backwards and then only hands. And so I don't know how entertaining that will be. It all depends on what kind of production they're going to do.
Was it entertaining to you? Was it entertaining to you?
It was more entertaining at the end when everybody had the leftover balloons and they were throwing them at coach and
Okay,
everybody.
yeah, that's true. Well, we might see some of that then, and then we get our excitement.
But I'll
and
tell
our
you
entertainment.
what, these guys are competitive, and it doesn't matter
It doesn't
what
matter.
they're playing.
Absolutely.
They want to beat whoever they're playing against, so it might be entertaining.
Yeah.
Chris, what's your vote?
This is like
I was going to say, Rafa, who won for the Cavs? Because I saw that segment where they said they were doing that out there, and they really didn't go into detail over who was.
Yeah,
good,
I'm trying to remember because at the end it was who was it? I forget who was it. Who won at the? I have it recorded. I'll find out for you. I promise you. I'll bring you the update. But I forget who won.
Garland's got to be up there. Rubio's got.
Garland was out early. Rubio was one of the last guys out, and the balloon exploded in his hand, even though he tried to catch it. So did for Mobley. So I don't know. Maybe they have a better way to water the balloons over there in Vegas. I don't know.
It's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you
every now and again you could get an old balloon and it hits your
Right.
hands and just crumbles. It's like,
Right.
come on.
You could have a perfect catch, cradle
gotta have
it,
soft
and it just
hands.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel like we had a good childhood.
for sure. Did you guys do shaving cream fights too?
No.
That was also
Maybe
fun.
you should have their own big play edition here. You have enough room outside. Just
do,
have
it,
your own,
do it right out on the runway.
have your own tournament.
Sure, the airport would love that. All right.
Enough Pro Bowl.
Okay, enough Pro Bowl. Cool. Let's move
Well,
on.
we didn't even touch on the best event, did we? I mean, come on.
Tug
by
of war.
far.
What?
No.
What were you thinking,
Dodgeball.
Chris? Oh,
Dodgeball
Yeah.
would be
If you can
fantastic.
dodge a wrench.
Come on.
all right.
NFL players just launching those
That could
balls at
be
each
cool.
other from 10 feet away. That's fantastic stuff right there.
Who gets
No?
a broken
Agreed.
nose?
Agreed. I feel like it's exactly what you think it's going to be, though.
Dodgeball.
Yeah.
Now, it depends on what kind of balls they use. Are they going to use like the softballs, or are they going to
Right.
use like the rubber balls? They should use the rubber balls because that's what you'd always go for. Those hard ass rubber balls, man.
I'm
You
surprised
catch
you don't
one
want
of
to
those-
use bowling balls.
For the dodgeball segment, they should have the guys from the movie do the commentating. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
Yes.
Or even just put them in the game.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, we're moving on. We're talking Cavs. Middle of the season, really, already. So let's get into our featured interview this week. Alrighty, not on the Labatt Blue Line, but instead in studio with us. Featured interview this week.
Moving on out.
We're joined by Cavs bilingual play-by-play announcer Rafa in studio. Rafa, we haven't had you on since the Cavs acquired Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that everybody wants to talk about in Cleveland when you're talking Cavs. How has he changed the dynamic of this team, the energy around this team? Because we saw last year the Cavs were fun. We blew that up with the internet, and it almost got a little bit annoying at the end of the Cavs are fun, the Cavs are fun, the Cavs are fun. But now it feels like the Cavs are good. The Cavs have some expectations. How has Donovan Mitchell kind of changed all that?
You know, I think I can summarize saying this. For those of us who are in the East Coast and rarely get to watch the West Coast team, maybe when they're on this side of the coast, Donovan Mitchell is whatever we thought he was, and then some, and a lot some. I think he's a really good dude off the court, and you can tell that on the court he demands the respect from everybody else, and he's shown that he can walk the talk on the court. But I think that his addition, aside from the fact and all the numbers and leading the team in scoring, having career year in everything, every category you can put on, the fact that he was able to blend in with whatever we had already, you know, that chemistry that we found last season. And Donovan Mitchell came in, and the first thing he told JB when he was asked, you know, what can we use you? You know, JB trying to get to know him, and Donovan said, use me whichever way you think I'm good for the team.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about him and about the professional he is, even though he's still only 26 years old. You know,
Yeah.
he's one of the older guys in the core, but he's still a kid.
Yeah.
How exciting was it to call his 71-point game?
You know, it is one of those things that you hear the 81 by Kobe and obviously the 100 by what's his name, Chamberlain. It's
Yeah.
kind of
Oscar
like a
Wills.
myth because
Yeah, there was no.
there's no video, there's nothing about it, just a picture of him holding the paper. And to see it and the way he did it, coming back from that deficit and just nearly perfect in the second half, in the fourth quarter and overtime. It was, and then, you know, on top of that, he gets the rebound of the missed free throw. So it was incredible to see. And I always said this, after the transformation at the field house, you can only fit a little bit less than 20,000 people. I think I have met close to 500,000 people that have told me they were there that night.
It's like the
that's how
Len
big a night
Barker.
it was.
That's good. Well, you talk about him being so excited to play with that young core, and I think we've all heard the story now at this point that he was at the golf course, and when he found out that none of those young pieces got traded to Utah, you know, he threw his club in the air, and he was so excited to be coming to Cleveland. Where were you when that news went down, and what was your reaction?
I wasn't as excited as he was in terms of at the moment that it happened because it totally killed my Labor Day weekend in Miami. The moment I started seeing, you know, because I don't know if it happens like that in baseball, if there is a watch in baseball or in football, but when it happens and watch says something on his Twitter, you know there's something to it.
Yeah.
And when he tweeted, first of all, we were nowhere near the conversation, at least to the public.
Right.
You know, now we learned that they were brought into the conversation a lot earlier than everybody think that we were. And when it was announced, I knew I had to come back right away because he was going to be introduced and everything.
Yeah.
But then, again, once you meet the guy and you realize what a real, true dude he is, he's just like a good guy. And that says a lot to me when you meet somebody, and obviously what he does on the court. And we knew he was good. We knew Donovan Mitchell had averaged over 20 points and gotten better every year in Utah. And once you see him working every day and the kind of guy he is, it's really exciting for everybody to have him here.
For sure.
Well, everybody here's been to a Cavs game this year. Tell us about the atmosphere over at Rocket Mortgage.
It's been great. I mean, the fans, I still think, you know, everybody's, and don't get me wrong, we have one of the best fan base there is in the NBA. There are times that we could be a little more into the game in terms of like when the team is down 10 and they cut it to 6, that's when the home crowd takes into effect. But we have been loud, and I think that is directly related to the relationship and the fun that you can see the guys are having on the court. Kind of over spills to the stand, but I love the feeling at the field house. Tomorrow it's gonna be a playoff field. I think Donovan Mitchell said it already. You know, we're playing the Heat, and the Heat is chasing us, and they're probably gonna come and want a piece of us since last time they were here and everybody was hurt, and we took them to the cleaner. So it should be a good game. But the fans have been okay. The fans not okay have been great, but we need to start getting ready for louder when it comes down to the playoff.
Rafa, when you're announcing games and you're going around the country, which arenas in particular do you like the most to go to, and which ones do you just hate when you have to go to those games?
Madison Square Garden and Staples Center, whatever it's called now, are on my bucket list. Number one spot when they decide to tear those places down, I want to be there to push the button. I think.
Really?
Yes. Even though Madison Square Garden to me will always be special because that's the first place 25 years ago where I called up my first ever play-by-play gig, St. John's against Niagara. That was my first ever gig, you know, walking to Madison Square Garden. Every time I walk in there, it's special for that. But the way they treat at least me on the Spanish side is just horrible. And then, you know, we're all the way up on the roof.
Oh, you tweeted about that, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
you
I had a
were in the
mouse trap.
nosebleeds.
Had a mouse trap in my booth this time that I was there, and it was and I'm telling you, I'm a New Yorker, And I know that the rats in New York City were doing bench press with that mousetrap that I almost cut my toe. Because he was a really small one for the size of the rat that you see in New York City. But when you ask me that, is in terms of me personally, those places, because they never give me the tools they give the English broadcasters to do that. Like in New York, for example, this past week, I didn't have a stats monitor. I didn't get paper stats. I was all the way up there. So it's a challenge for me. And I'm kind of like a little Rain Man when it comes to when I'm broadcasting, because I like to get there early to make sure that I'm connected, make sure that the station hears me, to tape my papers the way I like, the way I know I look down or left or right to look for numbers. And when I get to places like that, and I put it this way, I was not on the air until 5 minutes to go in the first half, because we needed somebody to reset the equipment, the bricklink, to connect to the station, and nobody but a union member could do it at Madison Square Garden, and we couldn't find one.
Oh, wow.
And then somebody came in to check for the stat monitor, and he said, yeah, there's something wrong with the line, we'll fix it tomorrow. I'm like, thanks. But when it comes
All right, now we're starting to get it.
Yeah, when it comes to the fans, I think the fans in New York and Boston are really good at watching the game. First of all, there's no in-arena hose. Like in New York, all there is like an organ, bang, 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 and they know that's defense, and the crowd gets into it without being told what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
In Boston, it's the same thing. They watch, they boo the refs when they make a call. Like, you can tell it. We've been at games where there were 5 calls made in favor of the Cavs in Boston to start the game. And the first time they made a whistle against the Cavs, everybody clapped at the arena. I don't think that happens in many other places. Oracle Arena used to be like that. Now it's different because it's so big and expensive in Chase Center that like they kind of lose the real fan, I think, with all the corporate stuff. But New York and Boston, to me, are just, in terms of fans, are really good.
What are the other sports that you've called, and what's your favorite?
Well, I like football because the preparation is, in this business, like in any business, preparation to me is the separation from everybody. So to me, I study harder for preparing for a football game than I ever did for any of my engineering classes, exams or anything. So to me, football is entertaining. I love it. I love the game. I love the fact that I can actually have a conversation with my analyst. It's kind of like in baseball.
More time.
I haven't had the chance to do much baseball as I would love to. It's my favorite sport to watch. But basketball is great because it goes quick. But I've done, boxing, UFC, minor league baseball, little league baseball.
Your crazy schedule with the Cavs would prime you to be good with the baseball schedule, because you talked a little bit pre-show, but even just give people a little glimpse of what that's like for you in the quick turnarounds.
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
With your Cavs schedule.
My Cavs schedule has been insane this year, and I don't think it's been like that for everybody. Obviously, kind of like what happened to the Clippers last night. It's a schedule loss for them. They kind of look at the schedule and you see back to back and everything like that. But for the Cavs, it's been crazy because we had the West Coast trip in November to start the season, and then we came home for a game. That was the first ever loss for the Cavs this year against Minnesota. We landed at 7:00 the night before, and we're playing at 2:00 the next day. So it's been a lot of home road games, which means we come home from a long road trip, we play one game, and we back out again the next day. It gets to the point of the season. January is kind of like the July of August in baseball. It's like the heat of the summer, where this is the cold or the snowing every day.
Right.
It appears to me that every time we land at 2, 3 in the morning, it's snowing in Cleveland, or it's windy, or it's raining. So
Welcome.
it's not glamorous to travel with the team like many people think, but it's great. I mean, you get to see these guys working day in and day out, and it's just amazing.
Rafa, when are we getting you to do the call for Big Play Boxing?
Well, whenever you schedule a card that when the Cavs are not playing, I was all set for December 16th, and then I look at the calendar, I was like, whoops.
It was fun, man. It was a lot of fun. So next time we'll look at the Cavs schedule.
I'll do either the blow-by-blow, or I'll do the ring. I never done the ring announcing,
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I go to Mexico for the NFL, I do the public address announcement. It's totally different than what I usually do. So it's always fun. So I'll do the ring announcing. I'll go
There we
after
go.
Michael Buffer. I promise you I won't butcher names the way Michael Buffer does.
Yeah.
Especially the Spanish names.
Oh, that's awesome.
I want to bring us back, kind of talk some current Cavs. There's been a lot of guys banged up. Like you said, it's kind of those dog days of summer, dog days of winter, for the basketball season. How do you think that's impacted / changed JB's approach and what he's been able to do with some of these different lineups? I mean, he was without Dean Wade for a long time. I mean, Mitchell and Garland have both missed their own little pieces. How does that really affect what JB tries to do here?
In a lot of ways, I think, first of all, as fans, we want to see always like the winning streak and, oh my God, the Cavs lost to this guy. First of all, they lost to Golden State. Was an egg the size of a T-Rex, right?
Yeah.
Everybody
What
understand
happened?
that,
I
right?
was there. What happened in that game?
It
Rafa?
happens to every team in the NBA.
Yep.
Whenever you think you can just come in and pick up the W, and then you get those. Everybody on those 30 rosters, wants to either impress the coach, get minutes, or get traded to a team where they can actually get some consistent minutes. So everybody's talented. They just don't get the chance to play all the time. So the good thing is, proof of last night's W, we learned the lesson, right? The best thing is not to make the mistakes often or all the time, make the same mistake. But for JB, I think it has been difficult in a way that, for a while, and you can start seeing the result in this month of January, is that he was trying to kind of play everybody and using 11, 10, 12 guys sometimes. And he finally, just now that everybody's back, and the good thing about JB, and I think that he get the trust from the players, is that he's straight up with the guys. And he share with them, listen, now that everybody's back, we won't be able to play everybody. You won't be able to get the minutes. There might be games where you won't play. There are other games, you got to be ready. But we're going back to the 8-9-man rotation,
Right.
which is what the Cavs have always been able to do. That's how we started the season so well. So that's what you're going to see now. And you saw the last couple of nights.
Yeah.
Last night everybody played and everybody scored because it was a blowout early. But I think that's what has affected the most about him trying to, Ricky was out. He came back in January. So now you got to try to figure out a way your combinations. LaVert started as a starter. Now he's coming off the bench. But we don't know about Mitchell being out. He's back to being the starter. So that throws off everything in terms of your combination of who plays with who. And JB said it earlier this season that there are 5 or 6 guys that he wants to keep at least 2 of them on the court at all times.
Yep.
And I think we know all of them, who they are, and that's what he's trying to do. But when you have injuries and when you have, Dean Wade going out, so your backups kind of become your starters, and it just throws everything off. But now hopefully we continue to be healthy. Donovan Mitchell practiced this morning, so he should be ready to go against Miami. And now I think in New York was the first time in a while that we have been healthy, and then he cramped out at the end of the game. So hopefully we make it through this winter days, and then the All-Star break will be. That's always an important part. And Mike Fratello used to say that that's where he made a living, getting his team ready to take advantage of those teams that mentally are already in Bahamas or wherever they go for especially now that it's 5 days. Before it used to be just a weekend.
Yeah.
And then coming back, you have the group of guys that really maybe don't see the gym during that week, so they're gonna take them another week to get back to where they were, and that's what you gotta take advantage of. Last year, that's where we got hit. We started to get hit with injuries, and it's kind of when the season went down. So hopefully we have a better luck this year with the things we can't control.
Absolutely. Good stuff from Rafa talking Cavs. We're going to move on to Cleveland headlines where, wait for it, we're going to talk some more Cavs with Rafa.
Well, hold on. Before we get out of this section, I wanted to talk about this. Chetty Osman, my dad texted me. He said he passed, he's, I think, 6th place
But
now.
Bowie, yeah.
In threes. He passed Boobie Gibson.
Yeah.
I cannot, for the life of me, believe he passed Boobie Gibson because, I grew up with Boobie Gibson, watching him. And that dude hit the three. And I don't think of Chetty like that.
No.
Why
but he is, though.
He is, though. Yeah. Why is that?
You want to be even more shocked? You know who's next on the list?
Who's that?
J.R. Smith.
No.
Yeah,
Really?
He's only like He's only like 5 or 6 away from Jr.
Wow.
Where's Elo? Steve Kerr, where are those guys?
Well, they're way behind him because he's going to be 5th pretty soon. And after that is Kyrie, and there's a big chunk in between JR and Kyrie. But I mean, Jetty, when he gets hot, I mean, I think he might have started the Cavalanche term when him and Kevin just start shooting threes from all over the place.
Yeah, he's currently 2 away from J.R. Smith at 5. And then, like Rafa said, there's a big jump. Kyrie is 723.
Yeah.
And then Price, then Kevin Love, then LeBron.
That's crazy to me. Good for you, Chetty.
Amazing. And good dude, too. You know, if you ever want to get followers, just tweet something about Jetty. There are thousands and thousands of accounts on Instagram and on Twitter that all they do is post stuff about Jetty and his wife. His wife is, I always tease Jetty, like, how does he feel to not be the most famous person at the house? Because his wife is a very, very famous movie soap opera star.
I didn't know that.
And I didn't know she was huge in Latin America since when she went to the trip in Chicago, and when we got off the plane, I took a picture with them right on New Year's Eve. And I posted it. Oh my God, I got bombarded with tweets in Spanish about how much they love her.
The power of the Jetty.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, Nick, all you.
All right, Cleveland headlines.
Programming note, I cannot hear the music. So do you want me to do the read now?
Yeah, go for it.
You really you can't hear that music?
Mix minus.
No.
Wow.
I haven't been able to hear the music at all.
For all the segments or just this one?
That is correct, for all the segments.
Oh.
No.
Well, good to know now.
McNeil's just in the
You
dark.
know what, Dave? Cleveland Headlines is brought to you by ShackNews.com. Shack News, your go-to site for video games and more. Make sure to check out this week's featured Shack Chat, What 2000s Game Deserves a Remake. And remember that you can join in on all the discussions using the Shack News Cortex and subscribing to their Twitch channel. So if you're a gamer, Shack News is the site for you. Check them out on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch at the handle @ShackNews and @ShackNews.com.
Good stuff, Chris. Before we get into the headlines, we did have a little bit of somber news today as Cleveland baseball legend John Adams passed away at 71 years old. Just a Cleveland icon. I think everyone in the room could speak to, what they mean for their baseball fandom in a little bit different ways. I think for a lot of us, just like growing up at the ballpark in the summer, hearing that drum beat, kind of like an integral part of your Cleveland baseball memory. And I'm sure we all relate to it differently, but kind of the same. And he was Cleveland for a lot of people and the way that a lot of people knew Cleveland. So we definitely pass our condolences on to John Adams and the whole Adams and Cleveland baseball community because he really was one of us.
I'm happy we have a special place for him to live on at the ballpark. We did induct him into the Hall of Fame. Nearly 50 years he provided that heartbeat for Cleveland baseball, and it was really a treasure too. I got the chance to work with him, and obviously just him and I both at the ballpark so often in my short career compared to his. But he was just such a joy, and I'm happy that at least to see he will be living on throughout we're going to have that drum beat track continue, and we've got a little bronzed drum for him in a segment at the ballpark for him. But R.I.P. John Adams, and we just thank him for all of the service and the wonderful being that he was.
August 24th, 1973, Indians versus Texans. 21-year-old John Adams first brought that drum into the stadium. An 11-5 win for the Indians. 1973. In the first 47 seasons since then, now he'd done it for 50 years, but for the first 47 seasons, how many games do you think he missed with that drum?
45.
Correct. Wow. Somebody's cheating on me.
Rafa! Rafa's a baseball guy.
Impressive. So he attended an estimated 3,700 games, which is just incredible. Incredible. And that was, for the younger listeners, back at Old Municipal is where he started. And I believe the story is, and actually he confirmed this when I talked to him, he was always so gracious with his time. I'd walk up there with my kids, and he was always nice. And a lot of people shared the same story. He was just so giving and so willing to talk to the fans, just like himself. But the Cleveland Indians did make him buy a seat for his drum back in Old Municipal Stadium. So he had his own, and then he'd have one for the drum for season tickets for years. So that's how dedicated a fan he was. When they opened up the new stadium, I think they gave him the seat eventually. But it's just fantastic. I mean, it brings you back to those mid-'90s, right? And even talking to him, when I'd walk up there and talk to him, he'd always want to talk about those teams. Those were always so special to him, and it was so special to the city. And he became such an intricate, drumbeat, both metaphorically and realistically, in what he did for what the town was going through at that time and what success we saw in the field. And so, part of us dies with him passing on. So condolences to his family. We've definitely lost one of the best fans of the Cleveland Indians, the Cleveland Guardians, and Cleveland overall that we won't ever be able to replace. So R.I.P. John Adams.
Well said, for sure. My take as an implanted Clevelander, back in 1997, like 9 of my friends drove to Jacob Field back in those days, during the Yankees run in the playoff, and I was at Jacob Field when Sandy Alomar, my good friend Sandy, hit that home run with Mariano Rivera. And I remember having that drum beat in my ear, in my head, for so long, right? But as a person that, I'm a baseball lover. I love baseball. I can sit and watch any team, just watch and enjoy the game. I knew about John Adams. I didn't know his name. I knew he was the drum guy. And when I moved here back in 2014, I swear to you, he was the first person I wanted to meet. And I got to meet him during the World Series in 2016, took a picture with the man, told him my story about how much I still had his banging in my ear, like boom, boom. And then I also learned that a lot of people from outside of Cleveland related him as Cleveland, right? But also we thought that his banging on the drums had something to do with the team being called the Indians. And then you learn that it was the noise that people made at Old Municipal Stadium when they were banging on the chairs or on the seats. So I think it was not many teams have that, I believe, that kind of person that you can actually point to them and say that's the Cleveland, that's the Cleveland Guardians, or that's any other team. I know the Yankees had an old man that used to walk around with a sign that he wrote up and had like a little pot, a little pan to hit with the spoon. I forgot his name, something says. But I think John was somebody as a baseball fan that everybody would have loved to meet him. He was baseball.
And you hear that story too from opposing players, like, on podcasts or in radio interviews when they're talking about Cleveland. It's that damn drum, when you come to
annoying
Cleveland,
when you're losing.
And it's become such an integral part of Cleveland baseball. So I'm excited to know that track isn't going anywhere.
And it hits different when you're in a long game, and
or they're rallying and like the excitement starts.
And by the way, ahead of his time, because 21 years old in 1973, trying to think of something that he could come to every game and do that. I mean, that's impressive.
Absolutely. It's, definitely a Cleveland icon,
He is now our guardian.
Yeah. So. Yeah, for sure. We're going to talk baseball. Don't you guys worry about that as the winter progresses and as spring training comes closer. But let's get back into some more Cavs talk, because with that win yesterday, the Cavs are now 21-5 at home this year. That's the best in the East. What, Rafa, about this team makes them so good at home? Because at home, they're like a completely different team to watch. It's way more fun. You could hear the arena on the broadcast, and it just seems like they're so much more engaged at home.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you there's something that I can point my finger at. And you would think that on the road it's a lot easier to be together because you're in a hotel, you're sharing meals. There's really no kids and wife and our partners coming in and having things to do. Like for the holidays it was great to be home for Christmas, but it was the first time we have been here for Christmas in a long time. but everybody had families. So those games were also like, everybody's running out early, no interviews, no talking to the media because they have family members at home. So I don't know. Obviously, the fans have a lot to do with it. When they want to be loud, we are loud at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. And I mean, you got to start from there. And I wish I could pinpoint something that is, obviously when you go on the road, you're dealing with the other side of the fans, right? The Memphis was loud this year. And then also when you're on the road, you have to be careful when you allow the team and the fans to get in the game. So you kind of have to take control early. And those runs, basketball is such a game of runs. And those are the good crowds get into the game really quick. And now, another thing I believe has to do with the difference in records is we have gone from the team that nobody ever heard of to last year, the team that everybody was surprised by, to this year, everybody wants to beat us. Everybody wants to show that we beat the Cavs. So we're getting the best out of everybody's. We're getting the best version of everybody's
every night
at their home. So I think that has to do with it. But for sure, the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse has been a lot of home cooking this year.
Yeah, we were talking so much last week about just expectations, Rafa, and kind of hopefully getting into one of those top 4 seeds when we talk about the crowd noise and playoffs. Hosting a game 1, a game 2 in Cleveland at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Do you think that's important for this team this year to kind of have that real 7-game playoff experience in Cleveland?
Listen, the short answer is yes. I could give you the whole thing about, which is true as well. The important thing is that we're getting better.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, if you take out Kevin, Ricky, Donovan, and Jerry, maybe Neto, nobody else has ever played a playoff series. So
right.
Just getting into the playoff is a goal. I would say 1 to 6 would be a very important thing for us, for that growing process, because we are there. We're just knocking at the door and we're trying to get better. And the only way to get better is to play in a series where the opponent and the coaching staff is preparing for you and just you, day in and day out. Right now, we have an assistant preparing for us tomorrow for Miami, and then another assistant preparing for us that will do the prep for the opposing team. But when the playoffs come, is everybody putting their heads together against you. So that is a big lesson, a big step up. And I know you guys are baseball and football fans. It does mean a lot to be in those situations, to be in that moment, to learn. The playing games the last season at home was great. You could feel but it was a 1-game thing. We want to be for me, the goal is to be in the playoff. To play a series, and then like anything can happen once you make it there. A lot has to do with health. A lot has to do with who your matchup is in terms of the rival for that first series. So, yes, 1 to 4 is a goal because you want to have the home field advantage. But I think 1 to 6 will be plenty for the Cavs to be satisfied with going into the playoff.
Perfect scenario. Who would you like if the playoffs started today? Who do you think they match up well against?
The Clippers last night.
The Rockets the other day.
I think they're all. Once you get into the playoff, it's all about a matchup.
Yeah.
Right. You got teams that are much more experienced than us. Philadelphia has 2 guys that have been in battles in the playoff. Brooklyn has 2 guys that are superstars. If they're playing, when the playoff comes. Milwaukee just recently won a championship. The Celtics just made it to the final. So it'd be a big test for us to be in that conversation.
Yeah.
And to be in that talk. So I don't think right now we're in a position to be picking and choosing, like, oh, give me this one, give me that guy. Put me in 1 to 6. And then I'll leave it up to my coaching staff. And they'll figure something out to put us in a good position. And we got a closer. We got a Donovan Mitchell that can actually take over, and he's shown it. Other than the 71-point game, he's shown that he can carry the team in his shoulder.
For sure. Next headline, moving on from basketball, Wyatt Teller was named to the Pro Bowl today. He'll be joining Nick Chubb, Joel Bitonio, and Myles Garrett for the Browns. The Pro Bowl games will begin this Thursday, and we talked about it in the Power Rank. you guys actually watching this? Like how like if you had to create like a weekend agenda, how long of the Pro Bowl do you think you'll watch? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, the clips you see on Twitter, or you're going to actually set some time to watch the Pro Bowl? Because it's going to be the first weekend, Saturday, no football. Sunday, Pro Bowl, but really no football. Are we really watching this, or like what's the move this weekend?
Let me ask a question that'll be determinant is whether I watch it or not. And that is Tipico setting odds for these things?
Right?
I mean, if there's a little
Pretty sure
action
there'll be
on
some
it,
props.
That's a lot of that nowadays, Chris. Like, I'm like, oh, this women's softball game looks fun. Here we go. Over, baby.
The other day, Chris, we were in here on Friday just getting the studio ready, and we had some meetings and stuff. We set up a TV in the office, and I was itching, scratching, clawing to find any remnant of college basketball on the TV. And I think we ended up finding a Holy Cross game or something. But
Holy Cross.
yeah.
All right, Gab. So Wyatt Teller and Nick Chubb versus Joel Bitonio and Myles Garrett. Who's winning? Tug of war.
Oh, tug of war.
Tug of war.
Oh, Miles.
Who was it?
Miles
Who was
than
it?
anybody.
Wait, hold on. Let me. Yeah, I'll do Wyatt Teller and Nick Chubb.
And you got to separate
Versus
Miles and Chubb. Okay.
Joel Bitonio and Myles Garrett.
Oh, that's so tough.
Really?
To me it is, because I'm thinking
Well,
of
so Chubb's got a lower center of gravity comparatively to Miles. Miles is obviously jacked.
Yeah, but remember, Chubb's
Chubb-
legs are for pushing.
Chubb. Did you see
Not for
Chubb's
pulling.
squats and everything?
Yeah.
I
me
might go with Chubb.
I'll be very hard to. I'll
Chubb's
find
team.
it very hard for me to put any money on typical sportsbook on Chubb over Myles Garrett with anything that had to do with strength.
I don't know, but I don't know. I think that's where it's deceiving, though. I think that's where it's deceiving is people think that the size equals the strength, but I've been super taken
Don't
aback
get me
by
wrong. I know Nick Chubb is a monster.
He really he has that
But
explosive
I have
strength.
stood next to Myles Garrett before.
Yeah. What
I've been
about
humble.
what about one-on-one Miles versus Chubb?
Oh,
Miles.
Miles.
maybe
See,
Miles.
again, it's hard for me to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Unless
mean,
you give me good odds.
right.
Remember, it doesn't matter who covers. It doesn't matter who wins. It's who covers, right?
I think the issue there is Miles is literally 6'4".
Yeah.
You know?
No, I'm all about the explosive
so
strength.
would that
I
be
think Chubb has.
Positive or negative?
I think it's a positive. I don't see how it
Center of gravity thing.
couldn't
He,
hurt.
he could, but Chubb can dig into the ground and just.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We need a
I'm sticking
remember on like
I'm
ESPN
loving
they would
this
do
deep
sports
analysis,
science.
by the way, yeah.
they would do.
All I
sports
know
science.
is that Miles is probably going to get tested right after the
I
Pro
know.
Bowl.
This is very true.
Absolutely.
caught too many water balloons.
He's going to be showing his biceps and stuff. He's like, oh, get the random testing.
Rafa, who would be the best tug of war participant for the Cavs? Do you think?
See, now I'm going on Gab's side because you would think, Donovan because of the fighting him, but Raul Neto, he's a
I
fighter
like
dude.
that kid.
Yeah, I do too.
He's one dude that comes in and just disrupts any piece that the opposing players might have. So, again, you're thinking, and now you got me on your side, Gabby.
See where I'm coming from?
All right, Rafa, Neto versus Chetty. Tug of war, one-on-one.
Ooh,
That's one I'd like to see.
that's a tough.
I just
that's
did
a
that
tight
so we
one.
could talk about Chetty
That's
and
like
do a
pick'em.
clip.
That's a pick'em. Yeah, that's. Jetty's a strong guy. I mean, Jetty's a head first nose dive dude, and I love it. Jetty plays better when he's got no breaks, and JB has allowed him to do whatever he wants to do when he runs downhill.
That's pretty cool.
And you see he got a chase down block yesterday, and he's like. He never gives up, and I think that's one of the things that everybody feeds off from. And last night it was like Turkish Heritage Night too, so he was playing really inspired.
Yeah, I
So-
saw that. That's awesome. All right, we're going to keep talking Pro Bowl with a new segment that Gab is going to run. 2 truths and a lie. Pro Bowl edition. So we've
So much
tortured
Pro
Gab.
Bowl.
We have tortured Gab for years with Stump the Flog, and it was mystery subjects that nobody would know. And Gab would be here before the show trying to pry everybody. What's this? What's the topic? What's a hint that you could give me? But now Gab is in complete control.
You
with
are
two truths and a lie
more
for.
equipped for the history questions of Browns and the like.
Right.
Well, you know how it is with baseball cards too. Like we've
Yeah.
pointed out, sometimes it's just tough because we're like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Rafa, this is Gab and Nick calling me and Chris old.
I know. Think about how I feel. You guys are talking about throwback games from the 2000s. I'm like,
Okay, so our Pro Bowl edition, and I'll try to keep my poker face. Two truths and a lie.
Wait. So how is this working?
yeah, I was going to
If,
say,
if
I'm
you're
sorry.
unfamiliar with the game,
Yep.
I am going to tell you three, maybe facts,
Three statements.
maybe not.
Statement.
Okay.
Yes, three
Three
statements.
statements. Two of them are true.
You will pick out the two truths, and you will pick out the one lie.
Collectively as a group.
Would you like to be on teams for this, or would you like to collectively? Well, I guess we
Collectively.
couldn't do
I
a
think it's a
team.
collectively, yeah.
All right, we'll go
so
collective.
collectively.
We'll
do
make
that.
a collective deduction on that.
Okay, so your first statement. Derek Anderson was named to as many Pro Bowls as Bernie Kosar.
Oh, these are knowledge true and false.
You should
Okay.
probably know that.
The Browns only had one Pro Bowler from 1999 to 2006.
That seems to check out.
That seems to be right. 'cause you have to have one. You have to have one.
From
so-
99 to 2006. Wow.
No, because I mean,
That's a Joe Thomas question.
right. All right.
But-
And your
Last.
third and final statement. Jim Brown has the most Pro Bowls in Browns history with 9.
No.
I don't
Might
think
be the
that's
one-
true.
Was there even a Pro Bowl when Jim Brown was playing?
They didn't have the Pro Bowl back then.
Yeah, that might be the lie.
Oh,
To me.
Gab.
He never played the Super Bowl, and he won how many championships?
Right.
Yeah, nothing was a
I
bowl
don't think the
back
NFL was so well versed on promoting and getting money from TV guys.
I love Gab's poker face when we just said that too.
then. That's it. That's the lie.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking, was there?
This
what was
is
the
just a
first time
game
they
of
had-
breaking me down, to be honest.
When was the- When was the first? When was the first Pro Bowl? It can't be back in those days.
Usually when we play trivia, I'm just giving out what do I
Hints.
do? The hints. I basically give it away. I'm like, you got me. I want you to win.
Could you imagine anybody sitting in a bar going, Jim Brown, I don't know, how many Pro Bowls has he been to? Was he really that good?
We could probably get a lot of people with that though. Like, like just
Yeah.
drunk
Is that the
guys at the
actor?
bar. how many Pro Bowls Jim Brown been to?
Chris, when did we draft Joe Thomas? Do you remember?
I
02
don't.
or 03.
So that would have been 3 years to 06
But did he
Yeah.
make the Pro Bowl in his
for a
rookie
Pro
year?
Bowl. So probably not the first 3, or maybe he did.
Well, somebody. That's tough.
I'm just trying to make Gab feel better.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You have to have one. Those years we were horrible, so we had our one each one of those years.
Right.
That makes sense. Logically, that checks out.
Is that like
Checks.
in baseball that you gotta
So
have
your
one
lie-
player?
So
You have to have one player, yeah.
what are you?
Yeah.
So which one are you pointing to? The lie.
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
Okay, that is correct.
Yeah.
You
That
get-
was an easy one. by
Well,
the way.
yeah, Jim Brown does have 9,
had
but
us
Joe,
thinking.
Does that go? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Thomas has 10. Lou
Yeah.
Groza has also had 9. So
Wow.
Jim does not have the most.
And Joe Thomas was
Wait, so how
drafted-
many did Jim Brown have?
9.
So he was in Pro Bowls. We were completely
Yeah, it was.
wrong.
You were throwing me off with that. I was like, well, he
really?
was. Yeah.
Joe Thomas was drafted in 2007.
Yeah, that was bad by
Oh
me.
wow.
And the Pro Bowl started in January 1951.
There
Really?
you go.
Yeah.
Oh, so we could have got that wrong, Gab. That was
We
a
would
good
have been
question.
Yeah, that was a good
Wow.
question.
Give my money back. Thank God I'm doing with like credit.
Yes.
Free bet credit.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a keeper. That's a keeper segment.
You like the two truths and a
You
lie?
need, to,
I liked
you
it.
need more than one round, though.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Remember, we need like 3.
I was gonna. Well, okay. Let me see if I have any.
You have like
I
a
have some
Guardians.
baseball.
Yeah, you have a Guardians one off the top of your head.
Let me think.
You know
Who was the 1970 American League Pitcher of the Year? Well, you guys.
Well, that's
can't-
open-ended.
You can't answer.
That's
Oh,
not
you
a
need two
truth.
truths and a lie. Okay. All right.
You know, I was a
That's
Gab
too much
contributor.
Yeah, I was going to say, you
Contributed.
come up with 3 different.
How about the Can I just do it open-ended, though, or no?
No, because then it
That'd be
doesn't
a
work.
different game. You could do whatever you want.
You would
That's-
know this one, though.
This is all right. I'll allow it.
I believe the only player to win an MVP in the American League and the National League.
Frank Robinson, no?
Yes.
Wow.
No, there you go.
I don't think you're going to get anything baseball past Rafa.
I don't
Okay,
either.
this is true. This is
Nah,
true.
that's
This is
not
our
true.
guy.
I'm just a fan, but
Yeah. Trying to think what else I have in my back pocket.
Rafa wins 2 truths and a lie by answering one question. Good job.
All right. You know what I have in my back pocket?
What?
My Tipico Sportsbook app.
Yes.
Hit the big play bets this week. Alrighty, get ready to bet with the show crew all season long. Cavs, NFL playoffs, Super Bowl, and a whole lot more. You can bet anywhere, but at Tipico, you're going to get the best odds on your favorite Cleveland sports teams and players with those big play boosts. We're going to hit one, so stick with us. We're going to keep boosting those odds every week for you guys on the Tipico Sportsbook app. So go check out the link in the description of all the show accounts. Download that app to get your free bet credits. You must be 21 years or older to gamble in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's take a look at some bets. We're going to get right into the Super Bowl stuff, guys. So obviously we'll have a couple weeks to break this down. And we're going to do what we've been sticking with our big play bets and with our boosts is anytime touchdown scorers. And we want to take a look at some long shots at guys that could score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Eagles, Chiefs, obviously you have Kadarius Toney, Valdez Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster, some guys that aren't Travis Kelce, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Any long shot on this list that you guys like? I like the Mahomes
I was
rushing.
going to say,
I love the
I'm
Mahomes
hooked on
rushing.
the quarterback.
What do
yeah.
you think about my Samaje Perine
I
pick
liked it
last week?
I liked it a lot. I was surprised.
You
I
hold,
liked
let me
it.
give myself a round of applause.
Hey, Dave,
Air fives.
you know what I didn't like? And I'm glad we left it out?
Huh.
The Brock Purdy rush.
Oh, yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Good thing we
I was
didn't do
waiting
that.
to see that one hit. It did not hit.
If I told you guys that Brock Purdy would have started the game and finished the game and didn't have a single completion but still lost by over 20 points, what would you say?
Oof.
Because that's what happened.
That's tough.
That's very Browns-esque.
All right, if I'm picking, I'm going Kenneth Gainwell.
Okay.
That guy is a burner.
He is.
Yeah, he could break one.
And it seems like he's kind of taking action away from Miles Sanders a little bit. So the casual fan might be hot on the Miles Sanders anytime
Especially
touchdown,
after 2 touchdowns last game.
do I get any extra payout if I bet that both quarterbacks will have a rushing touchdown in the Super Bowl?
Oh, we could boost it. And this might honestly be the week to boost it with Mahomes and Jalen Hurts.
Kind of
go.
2 weeks of getting healthy for Mahomes.
Yeah. Long time off. Jalen Hurts, we know, is always a dual threat to run or throw
Can
in that
I bet-
RPO game.
That Mahomes' brother is going to have an encounter with the Eagles fans at some point next week.
Another trusty bet.
Minus
That's a
1,000.
lock.
100 only pays out $1 on
That cannot end well if that ever happens.
No. Nick, I kind of like that.
I kind of like
Rafa's,
that too.
he might be going with the big play boost of the week.
Yeah, Mahomes anytime, Jalen Hurts anytime. This also is the first time in NFL history. I saw a tweet yesterday, which obviously Twitter, most reputable source on the internet. The first time that the starting quarterback for both teams are African American.
All right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I feel like that's a really good bet to boost is rushing
Get them
touchdowns.
both rushing touchdowns.
Anytime. I like it.
All right, Chris, what do you think about this? Mahomes, 287 yards. Hurts, 242 yards.
Throwing.
Throwing.
I hate
I mean, we're
Throw
talking
it.
Russian right now. So
Either of those over.
I have a weird feeling it's going to be under. I think that it's going to be lower scoring for some reason. I don't know.
I think, Chris, because both AFC and NFC championship games were under yesterday, rather, by like a pretty convincing margin. Like the under was never really a sweat in either AFC or NFC championship game. So just by association, I guess you could kind of assume that this goes under, but knowing sports betting, it'll probably be 50 to 30.
Right. It'll go the opposite way. First weekend, everything went over easy.
Yep.
Second weekend went under. Then you go under last weekend. I just feel, I don't know. I think things are going to be clamped down. I think both teams are going to come out a little bit nervous. I could see it being a low scoring game.
The Chiefs are also banged up, and obviously that 2-week gap helps. And having covered Super Bowls, you see that not that much practice goes in that immediate week leading up. It's a lot of media stuff. It's a lot of tape grinding, exactly, because they want those rosters 110% healthy. But man, the Chiefs were banged up yesterday. Obviously Kelsey was dealing with the back spasms throughout the week, which we didn't find out until later. And then they lost Juju for the game, and they were, down Hardman at one point. Mahomes was completing passes to guys that I had never even heard of before, and I like to think that I follow football pretty closely. So I do kind of steer towards the under with both of these passing totals, I think.
I almost always bet the under in Super Bowls. Like, that's my one a year that I'll do the under on. I'm going over in this one.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm over, Chris. I feel like we've gone against each other quite often this season since betting came to Ohio.
Then
But
I'll go under. Yes.
yes, over and under. Let's go.
Locking horns over the Super Bowl.
We'll see, because obviously we have quite some time, and we'll have another show before the Super Bowl goes on. So let's look at our third bet of which Pro Bowl quarterback would you bet on to win the precision passing completion.
We're back to the Pro Bowl
on Thursday. I
Who
can't
are
get
they?
enough of the Pro Bowl. And I don't think we have odds up for this yet, but if you had to, where they have to hit static and moving targets, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins. And then we still don't know the replacement for Mahomes and Jalen.
I bet Lamar Jackson's pretty pumped he doesn't have to do this, because I remember there was a video last year.
Dude, remember
and
that?
It was bad.
Have they all confirmed that they're going to be there? Joe Burrow is going to be there?
Yep.
Wow.
I think he kind of has no choice now that he's not in it. In the playoffs, I think you have to.
Interesting.
That's part of losing the championship game now. Is
You
force
have to do this stupid static and moving targets.
Well,
I go Joey B all day.
Joey B, Josh Allen, Geno Smith. Kirk Cousins could kind of be a sleeper because I bet he'd be a long shot.
Absolutely not. Did you see when he did his gender reveal?
Oh, that's
He
true.
almost completely missed it, so he's out.
But is it 1 o'clock on a Sunday?
I'm pretty sure his throws are going to be at least 3 yards short from wherever he's supposed to throw it.
Get us odds on that, Typico.
There we go.
You know who I'd like to see from a baseball perspective? Because I just saw this come up on Twitter or somewhere. Ichiro. Have you
Ichiro.
seen how accurate he is?
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
seen
Yeah.
his stuff? Oh man! So if we
He
ever
had a
did that
gun.
part of a baseball all-star thing, that would be actually pretty cool.
I feel like so far, like when we look at these All-Stars, because we talked a little All-Star weekend with Rafa, and obviously the Pro Bowl has somehow dominated this whole show. Thanks, Nick, for kind of flooding our notes with that. Baseball has like their All-Star weekend the most figured out by any sport by a mile.
They do.
Because like the home run derby is must watch, and you could argue like, is it a little rigged? Like when the ball lands is when the next pitch could go. That's so fun to
I do
watch.
enjoy. I enjoy the NHL.
The NHL is fun too
All-Star
because
weekend.
those guys do get into
The
it
skills
too.
challenge in the NFL, in the NHL is something to watch.
Chris, it sounds like you disagree over there.
The dunk contest is good for the NBA. I like that.
These
Now
last few years, Chris, they got a guy from the G League
Yeah,
participating.
it's
in
bad.
this
Well,
year.
that's true. They've kind of ruined it. It used to be
It
great.
used to be great. Yeah.
It used to be when everybody that actually dunks the ball
Yeah.
used to participate. But
And when,
right
like,
now, you
stars-
would love to see a slam dunk championship between Zion Williamson and Ja Morant.
Yeah.
I would just like to see more skills in baseball because I think that's really cool that what they're doing with football. And we probably have so many sneaky athletes. I mean, we do in the game of baseball. It'd be cool to see
Yeah.
I
like
could
the
do-
video, the old video that popped up.
I
Of
could do
Ichiro.
without the celebrity softball game for sure.
This year's NBA dunk contest participants, guys, this is just such a crazy. Kenyon Martin Jr.
He does dunk though. He is a Can you believe? You know how long I've been doing this? His father was a rookie when I was doing the Jersey Nets, and I called his games at University of Cincinnati. I was doing the game in Houston the other night. I'm like, God damn, I'm old.
I was at Miami when he hurt himself going into the tournament.
Remember that? Yeah.
And I had people crying who were so just distraught
He was
over
a
the
brutal-
fact that they weren't going to make a deep run because of it. Yeah.
But he can dunk, though.
Yeah, he could dunk. Shaden Sharp, he could dunk too. Mac McClung, who I believe is the G League guy.
Yeah, I never heard of him.
And then Trey Murphy III.
Wow. Okay, can't wait.
That's
You
your
have
dunk
must watch,
contest.
What
Chris.
time is that on so I can put my DVR?
And Mac McClung is a basketball player for the Delaware Bluecoats of the NBA G League. So he's not even
from
on
the
Ignite.
Yeah. How about the 3-point contest? Have they decided? Have
I
they
don't think that's been released yet.
been released yet? Yeah.
But I do look
that's-
forward to that one. Every
That
year.
used to be fun when the shooter used to be also
Yeah.
like the guys that
Well, yeah,
actually
Kyrie
shoot
was
threes.
good at it
Kyrie
when he
was
was with the
good at it when
Cavs.
he
That was
won.
fun. Yeah.
Curry used to participate in it too.
Yep.
The problem with a lot of these is the competitions, they have to explain the rules to you in depth at the beginning of it. Like it used to be, you just kind of, okay, whoever hits the most home runs wins. And now it's like, okay, you got to get past the first round, and then this round you only
And
get
if
5.
you hit the Gatorade sign, you're like
Yeah, yeah. With this colored ball is 2
Yeah.
points. With
the
this colored
golden
ball,
balls. I wore three homers.
Yeah, like this should be so straightforward. Why are we making it so complicated? And they do the same thing in the NBA, of course. And
And then
that's,
they added
that's one of the things that has turned me off.
they added the fact also that they cannot throw the next pitch until the ball lands.
Ah,
So
See?
it's
and they never hold true to that though.
No.
I mean, when we were there, it was like fireworks with baseballs above our heads.
Yeah, it was fun.
crazy.
It was fun. It was in Cleveland.
All right, good stuff. What do you say we call it a show? Huge thanks to everybody for
wait a
tuning
second.
in.
Don't we have any more Pro Bowl takes? Anybody?
Please get us out of here.
My one Pro Bowl take is that I probably won't be watching much of it.
my one Pro Bowl take is that bring it back to Hawaii, and I would
Yeah.
love to go back
And
to
Rafa
covering
will
it.
be back.
Yeah.
There we go.
Huge thanks to Rafa for popping in studio, man. It was a blast having you in here.
Thanks for having me. I'm impressed by the setup here. You know, obviously Chris was too big for me to come here. Like, you know,
Right.
I don't deserve the full staff, so it's okay. But thank you for having me, really, and keep rooting for the Cavs, man.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Trust me, you don't have to tell me that. That's never going to be a part of me that changes. Huge thanks to all of our sponsors, Shaq News. Go check them out for the best video game content in the game. Go drink some Labatt's, and of course, download that Tipico Sportsbook app. Use that Big Play link, and you're going to get $200 in free bet credits. You can't pass it up. One of the best offers going on the internet right now. Thank you guys so much for watching the Reflog Show on the Big Play Network. Until next week, we'll see you. Peace.
It's time! Streaming live from Cleveland, Ohio! Presenting the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight podcast of the world! The Big Play Reflog Show!